I was going to open a restaurant and I ended up doing construction instead. It was a very busy time and there was nobody could get anything done. Nobody could find anybody to do any work for them, like little stuff. So I had some skills and it was just me, my truck and my tools. And I started out remodeling houses and doing handyman work. And my first year we did 250,000 in sales. 7 years later, I was one of the largest builder developers doing 30 million a year. And I started 12 companies along the way at the same time and quit smoking and lost weight at the same time and all of that. What happened was I was doing work for some investors that were buying beach houses, adding value to them like a pool, hot tub, elevator, and then increasing the rent and then selling them, just like you do with apartments or anything else. But they were doing these with single family homes because these things rented for a lot of money. The bigger beach houses would rent for $200,000-$300,000 a year, big oceanfront houses. So they were like commercial properties. And then I had a friend who was a real estate developer and he taught me how to build spec houses by doing it with him. So I was the builder. I found the land, did the building and did all that. He was supposed to be the money. And what happened was I got completely taken advantage of. He really cheated me big time, but I learned really valuable lessons from that whole process. And he was supposed to be the money. I was supposed to be the builder. Turned out that I ended up being the builder and the money and signing on the loans, all these different things. He took total advantage of me and we were supposed to sell the houses, split the profits. He decided he wanted to keep them. So he was going to buy me out. We were both on the notes for these houses. He went and refinanced them, pulled the equity out and didn't even tell me. It was really interesting, that whole process, but I learned a ton in that process. I ended up making some money. I got cheated out of a couple $100,000 on about 5 houses that we built together. And the sad story was that at the time, he was the husband of my wife's best friend. They were maid of honor at each other's weddings, and it just totally destroyed that relationship because he was just a cheat and not a very moral individual at all. That was my first experience building spec houses. So right out of the gate, I learned the hard way, started getting into bigger projects, building spec houses. And he came along and said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a developer. And this is what we're going to do. So anyways, yeah, that was early on in my career and it taught me a lot, learned a lot of great lessons. So I took all of that and just learned and moved forward and it just kept going from there. So I was in an area where a lot of very sophisticated developers were coming down from Northern Virginia, the DC area, in the northern part of the states. That's who owned property in this area and that's who vacations. With New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those are the number one renter demographics. That's who goes there for summer vacation. Then your number one owner demographic was Northern Virginia, Richmond, DC, the DC suburbs, Maryland. And then you start getting up into the Connecticut's and a few people in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York that own property there. But the number one demographic was Virginia. I'm from Virginia. My whole family's from there. I made connections with these developers that were coming down to the beach and doing things. And I started learning from them and then following them around in their areas and getting involved with deals and projects that they were doing outside of the area. That's how I learned the business.